Well, hello, everybody. We are live. It is April 1st. It is Friday, April 1st, which means it's April Fool's Day. If you are listening to this on the audio replay, it's Saturday, April 2nd. But today, April Fool's Day. And let me tell you, it it has been a morning. I knew it was April 1st, didn't put together, that it was April Fool's Day, but there have been a lot of tricks played today, just like Mother Nature, and just where is my brush and why does my hair look like it does? And it's just been one of those crazy days. Like, where is the shirt I was going to wear? I can't find it. I don't think anybody specific in my family's messing with me. I just think it's one of those days. So, we got a good crowd in here this morning. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with me today. So every Friday morning, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Central, I am here on YouTube and Facebook, and I'm chatting with you. We stay here for about an hour. We have a great chat. And normally I'm live streaming on Float, but I did not choose to live stream there today because Float, if you're involved with Float, you know that they are going through a little. They're switching from beta to their actual version 1. So they were down for a while, and they're kind of bringing things back up. So I didn't even try to live stream on there today because I thought it would probably be pretty glitchy. Because once you're starting something new, you got some bugs to work out. So I wish them the best of luck with that. I really love Float, so I know version 1 is going to be amazing once it gets up and running. So, hello to everybody. Hello, 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 everybody. So, it is April Fool's Day. It is the first day of April. And April's a great month because April's my birthday month. So, we'll be celebrating my birthday. Birthdays aren't really a big deal in our house, but it's cool to say that it's your birthday month. And my youngest will turn 18 this month. And what else? I'm going to the LFTN 2020 spring or 2020. Oh my gosh, I just went back to 2020, you guys. What in the world is that? See, it's April Fool's. Something up here is messing with me. LFTN 2022 spring workshop. I'm going to be heading down to Tennessee. I'm super excited to do that. I'll finally get to meet Nicole and Letty and Tim and oh my gosh, so many people. So many people. Really excited to do that. We've got a lot of birthdays. People are talking in the chat, lots of birthdays this month. This is a good month. It's a good month. April is a beautiful month to have a birthday. It's funny because some years it's been 80 degrees on my birthday, and then other years we've had, a foot of snow on my birthday. So you never know what you're going to get in April. Speaking of that, Ma Nature, we need to have a talk. So I'm in Minnesota, and March and April, you never quite know what the weather is going to bring, right? It'll warm up, but then it's going to get cold again. You're going to get snow again, right? So the problem is that when it warms up, you get excited, right? You get excited. You think, oh, this might be the last warm up, and now I can go out in the barn. I can do this stuff, and you start, itching to get in the garden. You're like, "Ooh, look at the mud. I can go play in the mud," and then it'll snow, right? And so we've been kind of going through that. The main problem here is we have Muscovy ducks, right? And so they had started laying again, and I was very excited because I love duck eggs. They're very good for bacon. They're very good for eating if you can stomach the richness, which I finally can. But so I'm collecting their eggs. I'm really excited, and then it occurs to me, wait a second, if I want these ducks to hatch out some babies for me, I can't be collecting all their eggs, right? So leave them some eggs. So I talked to some people and said, is it a good time for me to start leaving the eggs? Because they will lay a ton of eggs, and then finally they will sit on the nest, right? Okay. So I start leaving the eggs, and it was great. I had one Muscovy hen who decided I'm going to sit right down on that nest, and I'm happy and wonderful. And she's building the nest up, and you go in and say hello to her, and she make these beautiful, cute little noises. Everything was great. And we had two other nests that we had a couple hens that would go and sit on them, kind of, sort of, but they weren't ready to just really commit to it. Well, problem is, we had a night where it got down below 0. I think we hit 2 below or something. And the two of the nests were left open. Those two other hens did not want to commit to being a mom yet, and so those nests were left open. So when I went out the next day, all those eggs were frozen and cracked. So we lost 2 big nests of eggs. So I'm bummed about that, but obviously they're still laying, and so we have been able to, get them 2 more nests, and now we have 2 hens who are sitting on nests. I'm very excited about that. Muscovies are supposed to be great mothers and raise up those babies, hatch them out. raise them up. And so I'm very, very excited to see if they make it all the way to hatching and, what kind of hatch we have. The only thing that I'm nervous about is that, as I already said, I'm supposed to be going to Tennessee the end of the month. And so I'm hoping they don't hatch while I'm gone because I want to see them hatch. I want to be here when the little babies are running around. I don't want that to happen when I'm gone, but it is what it is. You can't control it, right? I can't control it. Goodness gracious. Let's go to the comments. We got lots of people saying hello. Oh my gosh, we got people having anniversaries. April is a great month. April's such a great month, you guys. It's wonderful. I love it. What else? So here's another weird thing Mom Nature did. I got something in my eye. So, like, my eye is not twitching out. I just got something in my eye. That's why I look so weird on video right now, like that. I'm all jacked up this morning. Coffee cup. I should show you my coffee cup. So the coffee cup I'm using today, if you can see, it says I pew a latte, and it's a picture of a pew pew and a picture of a coffee cup. So I pew a latte, which is kind of a lie because I haven't been to the range for a while, but I need to get there. So anyway, Ma Nature, we had the way down below zero and, lost a bunch of eggs. But so like 2 nights ago, we get this weather where it's raining. It's pouring. We go from snow to now it's going to pour. Okay, whatever. We expect this because, it's March. So this was still March, obviously. And I'm outside at the wood stove. I'm filling up the wood boiler with all this wood because we're still burning wood. And it's pouring, 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 and I'm just getting sopping wet. I'm like, what is this? This is so much rain, And I get done with that. I go inside. I'm going to finish up some stuff in my office, and I'm going to go to bed. So I'm sitting at my computer right here, and I'm finishing stuff up. And all of a sudden, outside my window, I see this flash right by my window, like right here. I'm pointing because that's where my window is. There's this flash right outside my window. I'm like, what was that? That was really weird. Like, it was right outside my window, and it almost looked like somebody had a flashlight right outside my window, and I'm like, "What?" Like, I live in the middle of nowhere, right? So if I think there's somebody in my yard with a flashlight, I'm like, "Who is looking for who is looking for what?" Okay, so I turn off the lights in my office, right? And I'm trying to look outside. I'm like, "What is going on?" Can't see anything. That was really weird, just this flash right outside my window. Okay, so I go into the living room, I turn off the lights, and now I'm starting to get that whole ninja kind of stealth thing because, like, what if someone's out there and okay, so what are we gonna do? I wondered if maybe then your brain gets going. You're like, what if somebody's out there with a camera and they're taking pictures of my house and whatever? Then some listening, and the dogs are getting kind of jacked up because, mom is running around like, what's going on? And then, you guys, there was the loudest crack of thunder. And I realized the flash I had seen outside my window was lightning. Lightning, right? I wasn't thinking thunderstorm because it's March. I understand some of y'all, especially south, thunderstorms in March are normal for you. That's not normal for me in Minnesota. So I had not gone into that brain space yet of this is probably a thunderstorm. That flash outside your window, Amy, was probably lightning. So that was exciting. And then the dogs decided they had to bark every single time that it thundered. So that was exciting. That's never happened before. They decided that is a new thing this year. So yeah, crazy. Letty says, "Oh my God, those thunderstorms were insane the other night. Little man wanted to go outside and see all the lightning. It was crazy. And it was very, very spotty because my husband was working and he was talking about how they were getting sleet it was just little pockets of different stuff. My son was coming home that night and he said he just had mist. I was standing in the pouring. It was so weird. Ma Nature, she's just crazy." Nate says, "Mother Nature plays weird games. Best thing we can do maybe is move on." Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Driftless Oaks Farm and Flower Company, formerly Small Scale Life. This is Tom. Hello, Tom. Good morning, all y'all. Yep, thunderstorms in Minnesota and Wisconsin in March is unusual, weird weather out there. I just feel like it gets weirder every year. It's crazy. He also says it was lightning and ice was falling from the sky. Never a dull moment. I mean, you can say that. You never know what's going to happen. Just got to be prepared for everything. So what else has happened this week before we get into these topics, which we never get to because we chat so much, which is great because that's the point of a live stream, right? I did send out, if you are subscribed to the Farmish Papers, which is my monthly snail mail newsletter, if you are subscribed to that, I sent out the April issue 2 days ago, so on Wednesday. So if you don't have it yet, I've had people get it the next day, which is crazy. But if you didn't get it yesterday, you'll probably get it today or the next day, unless you live in Canada, which apparently it takes you 3 weeks to get this little envelope, which is crazy to me, but whatever. But anyway, so when I decided to do this snail mail newsletter, I had some people who suggested to me, you could just send the file of the newsletter to a printer who will then print it for you and stuff the envelopes and mail it out for you. Like, you don't have to touch this at all. And I thought, I mean, I could do that, but that's not really the point of having the newsletter. The snail mail newsletter is really about personal communication to me. Like, I am sending you something, you are getting it in your mailbox. It's a wonderful connection, right? So I decided I'm not doing that right now. I'm going to get those printed copies at my house. I'm going to sit here, have some coffee, and I'm going to stuff the envelopes. I usually stick little personal notes inside of each of them. Super fun. I love to do it. Like, I love to do it. So anyway, when I am doing this on Tuesday is when I was stuffing it. So I'm sitting here and I'm doing everything. And I go to, so I have the newsletter and I'm going to fold it in thirds so I can put it in the envelope. And so I'm folding and folding and folding and creasing, and I'm doing it here and I'm making a pile here. And I realized my finger really, really hurts. I'm like, what's wrong with my finger, right? And so, like, it just kind of hurts. And I've done like 5 newsletters now, 6 newsletters, 7 newsletters. What is wrong with my finger? And I looked down, you guys, and what I didn't realize is I had cut my finger. I had cut my finger. It wasn't a paper cut. Like, I don't know what I did, but I cut my finger. And every time I'm folding the paper and creasing it, I'm bleeding on the newsletter. Bleeding on the newsletter. Y'all, I know we want to be connected, but I don't feel that me sending a newsletter with my lifeblood on it was really what you signed up for. So I actually ended up throwing away 9 newsletters, I think, because I had actually put a little crease of my lifeblood into that newsletter. So, which is another hint why you should always print extra, which I always do. But I was like, oh, come on. Okay, people in the comments. Aaron says, winners get blood. Yeah, that would have been interesting. If you happen to open your newsletter and you have a streak of blood across the back of the newsletter, you can redeem this for, oh my gosh. Ashley says they are extra personal this month. Can you imagine if I wouldn't have seen that? Can you imagine? People would have opened that and been like, what is this? This is very personal. Very personal. Good Lord. Oh, yeah. Letty says, some people will get a bit of Amy with their newsletter. Yeah, you're getting my DNA now. The Homestead Journey. Brian at the Homestead Journey says, that is taking Goth Mom to a new level, Amy. You are right. Goth Ma Ingalls puts blood in her newsletter. Y'all, that was crazy. That is just that's me being real, right? That's what you get when you sign up to do something with Amy, I guess. A little coffee. It's crazy because when I do these live streams by myself, I hardly drink anything because I'm the only one talking, obviously. When I'm doing live streams with other people, I nurse that cup of coffee like it is, man, I tell you. What else? My abs really hurt today. I told you last week that I'm back at the gym, and a couple days ago was a lot of ab work, which I really, really like. It's actually my favorite thing to work on. I have a very strong core, so I like doing planks. I like doing all that stuff. But man, do you feel it 2 days later? It is crazy. And it's funny because you think when you go to the gym, you think it's the day after that's going to be hard. It's actually 2 days after that's really, really hard. And today, when we go to the gym, it will be leg day. And leg day is my least favorite day. Least favorite day. I hate leg day. But here's the thing. Because we both hate leg day, we have decided that we get a reward for leg day. So I don't know if I talked about this last time, but we have this amazing little burrito restaurant. Super tiny little family owns it, and they make the most amazing, heavenly burritos, authentic burritos. And so we have decided that leg day, reward for leg day is after we go work out, we go get burritos. Just one little burrito. It's so good. It's so good. I wish everybody could experience this burrito restaurant. If you ever come visit me locally, I will take you to this burrito place because it is amazing. I love it. That's what I have to say about the gym and burritos today. So let me move down my notes here. So it is April Fool's. And so for some people, that means jokes, right? So I'm wondering, the first thing we can chat about in the comments here, do you guys do April Fool's jokes? Are you guys jokers? Do you guys like surprises? Is that something you all do? April Fool's, the actual day, that's not anything we normally, we'd be like, oh, I got to plan all these things I got to do. But I do have some jokers in my family. My eldest son is really a joker. I've mentioned on the podcast before that he will sometimes leave things for me. And like, for instance, y'all know, if you've followed for any length of time, you know that I don't like raccoons. Raccoons are scary to me. Raccoons are the thing I don't like. Baby raccoons actually is what I don't like. That's a whole nother story. Well, we've got time. So I had a bunch of baby raccoons fall from a hayloft on my head once, and it traumatized me for life. Okay. So raccoons to me are very scary. So anyway, I had a friend over. We were having a couple cocktails. Her husband had brought her to my house. He was going to pick her up later. We were just having a good old girl chat. And so clearly we'd had some cocktails, and my son came home from work and he walked in the door and he said, Mom, there's a raccoon right by the garage. I think it's sick because it's kind of acting like it has rabies. We have to go out and we have to like dispatch this raccoon. And I realized I've had some cocktails, so I'm not going to be part of this dispatching. But I'd had enough cocktails that it didn't occur to me that I could tell my son, we'll go take care of this, right? Like that's the mental capacity I was at. And so he says, you have to come outside and see this raccoon. I said, I don't want to see this raccoon. I don't want to have anything to do with this raccoon. Raccoons scare me. No, Mom, you just have to come out. You have to see this raccoon. Well, long story short, it was around Valentine's Day, and he had bought a little chocolate raccoon, and he had stuck it up on a log behind the garage. And so this was the raccoon he was talking about. Yeah, this is the joker I live with. He did that once also with a chocolate bunny. He around Easter, he had bought a chocolate bunny, and he had said that the dogs had got a baby bunny and they had brought it in the house, and it was in their kennel. And what he'd done is stuck this chocolate bunny inside the kennel, closed the kennel so the dogs couldn't get to it. But yeah, you think I would learn. And he hasn't done anything for a while. And he's probably going to listen to the podcast replay of this because he does that. So now I need to be prepared because he will probably be planning something. I grew up with a dad who was a jokester, though. My dad and I, while I still lived at home, we had this war going on. He didn't like smiley faces. So like, that's the smiley face from the 70s, that was on a lot of things. Like it was like a marketing thing for a while. And he didn't like that. Like that annoyed him. Well, I took full advantage of that. And I started putting smiley faces all over the house and sending him smiley faces in the mail and like sticking smiley faces in his truck, whatever. What I didn't like was spiders. Now, spiders don't bother me now, but they bothered me when I was younger. And so he would leave fake spiders someplace. He put them on my bed. He put like a bucket above the door that, dropped down on me. The one thing that he did that I really, really remember was, so I had a Jeep, and there were these like spider leaf bags that you could buy. So basically it was this giant spider. We're talking like room size spider, right? And the main like garbage bag of it was the spider's head. And then there would be like all these tubes you could fill off of it with leaves. So you'd build this giant spider, right? And I woke up one morning and there was this giant leaf filled spider on top of my Jeep. Like, I have no idea how he did this, but yeah. It it was hilarious. But so I feel like maybe I should maybe send him some smiley faces in the mail, right? The problem is, would he send me spiders back or would he send me raccoons? Because he knows I hate raccoons. I think we'd have to go with the original spider and smiley face thing. I think so. All right, I babbled long enough. I gotta go back and see all these stories you were telling. Aaron says the girls and I made Nate a cupcake topped with cream cheese and a cherry tomato last year. That is awesome. I would not like that because y'all know I don't like tomatoes, but that's hilarious. Ashley says the last time hubby pulled an April Fool's prank on me, I sewed one leg of his underwear shut and put it back in the drawer. That is awesome. That is awesome. Robin says, we do. There is a giant rubber spider sitting on the milk carton in the fridge as we speak. That would be something my dad would have done when I was younger. Absolutely. Tom says, Julie and the boys got me a few times. They were on a trip and called saying they broke down. That sucked. I was gearing up to go get them 3 hours away. What else do we got here? Do we continue? Julie and the boys loaded up my chicken noodle soup with super hot sauce. That's horrible. Can you handle hot sauce? I mean, do you just not like it or does it make you sick? Because if oh my gosh, if I put that in my husband's food, he would be sick. That would not go well for me. Oh boy. Robin says, that is only one little surprise that awaits. I am certain the garage door is booby trapped and waiting for me. It's so fun when families can do that. It's so fun when they can, have these things back and forth. Brian from the Lots Project says, I put saran wrap on the toilet once when I was a kid. That ass kicking took the fun out of April Fools. Yeah, it's crazy because you got to know how people can take a joke and how far you can push them. And sometimes you push them a little far. Yeah, yeah. That is funny, though. Saran wrap on the toilet. That's funny. Probably because it didn't happen to me, but Nate says, I'm sure Aaron's dad is working something up since he's coming to visit this afternoon. Tom says, my friend puts googly eyes stickers all over in strange places at an unnamed 3M plant. That would be fun. Brian from the Homestead Journey says, one year April Fools fell on a Sunday. My uncle was a pastor and my cousin went through the whole house and set the clocks ahead by an hour, meaning they all showed up to church early. All these little tricks that people play. Oh gosh. Tom says, well, yeah, I can handle hot sauce, but it got hotter as I ate it. Little turds. Yeah. Yeah. Letty says, no surprises or jokes over here. I'm not a fan of surprises, and I'm really good at plotting revenge. Yeah, it's one of those things. You got to know, like, because some people like it and some people don't. And it's funny because I don't mind surprises. Like, I don't mind jokes like that, but I was thinking about this. Like, do I like surprises? Do I like being surprised? And part of me thinks like I like surprises, but I also don't like change. Like I have a system, I have a schedule, I have a way I like things done. And so if those surprises mess with that, I tend to get really crabby. Really crabby. Have a lot of anxiety about you're messing with my system here. So it's funny because my oldest son does not like surprises. And I didn't realize this when he was younger. And so we had friends of ours, they were going through a death in their family, and so the mom had asked, can I bring my son over and he can hang out with your kids during the day, and they were best friends. So I was like, yeah, absolutely, we can do that. And so she brought him over, but I didn't tell the boys he was coming over. Like, yay, it's a surprise, your friend is here, he's going to hang out for the day. And my youngest son thought that was great. And my youngest son and this kid ran around all day, hanging out, having fun. And my oldest son would not come out of his bedroom. And I went upstairs and I said, "What's going on? Are you?" I thought maybe they were in a fight. Something had happened that I didn't know. And he just doesn't like surprises. He wanted to he needs to know that that friend is coming over so he can mentally prepare that his friend was coming over. And I said, well, is it a bad thing he came over? And he said, no, it's fine. But I need to know that he's coming over so I can prepare for that. And so, a long time ago, I thought, what is that? But the more I dig into my own headspace up here, I get it. I get it. It's cool you dropped by, but dude, I had all this stuff I was gonna do. You know what I'm saying? So surprises. Some people like them. Some people don't. Letty says, I wait until they least expect it and think I'm over it. Makes it even more sweet. Yeah, if you're gonna get revenge, you gotta wait a little bit. Otherwise, they're expecting it, right? And it's not as powerful. You gotta get them when they're not thinking about it, right? Me, who just said I don't like surprises. I don't know. I don't know, you guys. Let me hide this comment here. Robin says, Letty, you have a dark gift and you know it. Oh, we all have gifts, right? We all have our thing. We all have our thing. All right. So that's enough about April Fools. I love that it's April. I just, it's one of those things like, how fast is the year flying by already? And can it go faster? Right? Like, I don't know. I wanted to go faster because I want to be planting my garden, but at the same time, I feel like it was just Christmas. Does anybody else feel like that? I feel like that all the time. It's going too fast and not fast enough. It's so weird. Yeah. Letty says, I am mentally preparing for a week of socializing and hours in a car with all you ladies I haven't met yet. Peopling is tough for an introvert. Well, Letty's referring to going down to LFTM, the workshop that I was referring to earlier. A few of us are all carpooling down there. It's going to be a road trip, girls' road trip, hanging out there, carpooling home. But Letty, I think we're all introverts. I think we're all introverts. We all, no matter how much fun we have and how wonderful it's going to be, I think we're all going to need like a whole 24 hours when we get home to just be like, okay, don't talk to me. I need to be completely by myself. Craziness. Alyssa says, I totally relate to your older son. I hate surprises and need the mental preparation time, especially with people related things. That's probably what it is for me too. People related things, I need to know it's coming. If it, yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. It's crazy how you think you're one way and then, like, have you ever taken a personality test and you get the results back and you're like, yeah, that's not what I was expecting. That's gonna be a whole nother. I have an interview coming up. It probably isn't gonna publish till the end of April, but we're gonna talk about personalities and personality tests and different things like that. And I recently took a personality test that would, because I love personality tests, but I recently took one that was a little different than I normally would take. And oh my gosh, the stuff that it sent back to me, I was like, oh, like whatever. And then I looked at my life over the next week and how I responded to things and things I chose not to do and things I avoided. And I was like, wow, that personality test was right on. So sometimes I think I'm one of those people who likes to jump into adventure and just whatever the day brings, it's great. But that's if we're being honest, that's actually not me. That's not me at all. I am super logical. I like my schedule. I like my system. Yeah, I want to be one of those adventuresome people, and I'm not. Like, if I would need to plan my adventure. I would need to know the adventure was coming. Which I don't know, is that adventureful? I don't know if it is. I don't know. So, speaking of interviews, I actually am doing an interview. Y'all, it's so crazy to do this live streaming because I don't know where to look. Like, I have my camera right there, but if I look at the camera, I can't see the comments. If I look at the comments, it's so crazy, y'all. Oh my gosh, Ashley. Ashley says, "You poor ladies, I'm an ENTJ." Ashley, I'm an INTJ. Check that out. We're talking about Myers-Briggs here. Oh my gosh. Letty says she's an INTJ. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. All right, so now we're totally going to sidestep into into personalities because now everybody is putting their Myers-Briggs type. Do you guys know your Myers-Briggs type? So I am INTJ. We have an ENTJ. We have an INTJ. We have an ENFP. We have an INTJ. Oh my word. Oh, this is crazy. This is so I love personality. I'm so excited for that interview to come out because I love talking about personality, but I love hearing other people talk about personality and like because I think the older you get, if you take a personality test when you're 14, it's different than when you're 42. You know yourself in a different way. Yeah, I love personality stuff. Can you hear the beeping of the garbage man? The dogs are not going to bark. Maybe the garbage man is not a scary murderer today. I don't know. So anyway, You can keep talking about your Myers-Briggs. You go take the test if you haven't. There's what's the other one? The Enneagram? I think. I don't remember what number I was. That was another test that I took that I got the results and I was like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. And then over the next couple of weeks, I paid attention to my life and I was like, yeah, that totally had me pegged. Isn't that crazy? How we want to be one thing and we're not. We're not. Oh boy. Trying to dead space in the podcast, reading all these comments. Letty says, my aunt is a Myers-Briggs test giver. She's had me testing since I was 12. INTJ all the way. It has never changed. So the crazy thing is when I was younger, I thought that being an introvert meant, oh my gosh, you guys. It is April Fool's Day today. Amy is so jacked up. So I thought being an introvert meant that you didn't like to be with people. And if you were an extrovert, you like to be with people. And I always struggled with that because I didn't mind being with people. It's just that I found it kind of exhausting. Like I liked to be by myself, but I also like to be with people. So I'm like, how can you tell me that I'm an introvert if I still like to be with people, right? And then I realized as I got older, it's really about like introversion and extroversion is really about where you get your energy from. Like people who are extroverts get their energy from other people that is exciting to them and they get energized doing that. If you're an introvert, being with a bunch of people kind of sucks the life out of you. And not necessarily in a bad, horrible way, but you definitely need time to yourself afterwards to be like, to kind of refill your energy tank. You get energy from being alone. So that's the difference between extrovert, introvert, as I have figured it out. Let's see. Ashley says, extrovert for me means I don't think inside my head. Everything is external. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do. I'm a very quiet person. You wouldn't know that because I'm live streaming right now. But like after I get done live streaming, I will have to go chill and be quiet and like nobody talk to me. So like I like doing this, but I then need to refill my tank. But thinking and like processing stuff, that's all up here. I don't talk it out. I generally will think it through in my head. And once I think I have it thought through in my head, then I will bring it outward for people, to discuss with me. But yeah, I know people that they talk it through, and I'm like, it's so funny how different we all are. How, like it's amazing to me. I love to think about that stuff. Letty says, I thought it was such a bad thing to be an introvert. Then I realized how to prepare before and decompress after being with people. Nap time to and from work on the train was good for me. Yeah. Yeah, that's having a job whenever I've worked outside the home, that commute was always really good. And I don't even know if I realized that right away, like that was decompression time. Um, yeah, decompression time is huge. You have to have that. And I remember talking to, I don't remember, it was something about school. My kids were homeschooled, so it wouldn't have applied to them. So I'm trying to think of where I heard this, but it was when your kids come home from school, don't meet them right at the door and be like, blah, blah, because sometimes you need that decompression time to just be like, because you just got off the bus with all the kids and now like everybody's just, whoa, how was your school day? And um, so yeah, that's interesting. Every single time we live stream, y'all, we go into topics that were not on the list. I should just not have topics sometime, right? But then that would be the day that nobody would show up. I wouldn't have coffee with everybody, and then I'd be staring at myself in the screen, not knowing where to look because there's 27 different places to look. All right. Waya, is it Waya or Waya? Heritage Homestead. Exactly. I have to recharge my batteries for days after family gatherings or visits to town. Yep. Yep. Ashley points out some people can sap energy more than others too. Oh yes. Oh yes. There are some people that will just suck the energy from you, and then other people where it doesn't like take energy. Like you know what I'm saying. I clearly can't talk. I should have had way more coffee before I started this live stream. Oh boy. Brian from the Homestead Journey says, it's taken my wife a long time to understand that I need that decompression time after work, and even still she doesn't fully get it. So I wonder, are you guys like different personalities? Like, have you taken those tests and like figured out, oh, that's why you are the way you are? I think that is so um interesting because we tend to view the world through our personality, right? And we don't even realize we're doing that, and we don't. Yeah, it's like my brain is just like, "Whoa, we're talking personality, you know." Yeah, we view the world through our eyes and our personality, and it is sometimes mind-blowing to me that other people don't process things the way that I process them, and yet logically I know we're all different. It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, personality. There we go. I should give everybody homework. Go take a personality test and come back next week and tell me what you are. I'm gonna go back and take the Enneagram. I'm writing that right now because I took it and I don't remember what my number was. I don't remember. All right. Brian from the Lots Project says you need some Lots Project GSD blend, highly caffeinated. Oh man, if I could handle it, I would drink it. When I drink the super high caffeinated stuff like Death Wish coffee, I am like, and y'all know, like I have a little bit of a heart condition, so I have to watch what I'm doing. So those super high caffeinated ones don't generally work for me. But I'd be willing to try it. I should buy some, and then if I can't handle it, I'll give it to someone who can. Because yeah, caffeine, that's what I need more of. Maybe my problem is I had too much caffeine this morning. So interview. I was telling you about you guys, I'm so distracted. Nate says, Amy, drop some links on social so we can go take the test. Writing that down. Links for tests. That would be amazing. All right. Great. So I am doing an interview this next week, the 6th, I think. It's actually, I'm going to be interviewed in someone's kind of member portal. It's a homeschooling group. And so they're going to be talking about gardening. And so there are going to be a lot of questions about getting started gardening with little kids, getting started gardening when you don't feel like you have a lot of time or you don't have a lot of space. And so I would love it if y'all have anything to say about gardening or advice that you would give someone who's starting gardening who maybe doesn't feel like they have a lot of time or doesn't feel like they have a lot of space. What advice would you give them? My 2 cents on anything that we're starting that's kind of in the homesteading realm, which, if you listen to my chicken podcast earlier this week, is we tend to complicate all of these things that we do. We think chickens are very, very complicated. We think like anything with homesteading, super, super complicated, right? Because there's all this information out there. And so we feel like we have to gather all this information to be able to do the thing that we want to do. My theory is people have been having chickens for many, 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 many years. And most of them didn't have all the information that we have now, right? And they still did it and they still survived. So I feel the same way about gardening. I feel we really overcomplicate it. I think there are things we can learn about. I think there are things we can dig into. That was kind of a pun, unintended pun. But I feel like when I approach gardening, it is, I'm going to figure out what I want to grow. I'm going to figure out what zone I live in and, figure out if it's something I have to start ahead of time or I can just direct sow. And then I'm going to plant the seeds and I'm going to see what happens. So I'm really excited to do this interview, but I want to make sure that I can help people feel confident in what they want to do. I do think sometimes that people will want to get into gardening and think they can grow all the things and it's going to be a great, like, if they do everything right, everything's going to grow and they're going to have these amazing harvests every year, which, y'all, I've been doing this a long time, and if something goes wrong every single year, there's stuff that doesn't grow there. You get the hailstorm that makes salsa out of your garden. You get this has grown wonderfully for 5 years and now this year it won't. So there's lots of stuff to learn, obviously, but I think in getting started, it's pick something and start. So I'm going to go to the comments now. Arkansas Woodcutter says, let the children play and engage their curiosity. Yeah, when my kids were younger, I always let them, like, go to the store and pick out what vegetable they wanted to grow, or whatever they wanted to grow. So my oldest would always be like, I want to grow hot peppers. And so he would grow the hot peppers. He would put it in the ground and he would take care of it. And there is something about that process, like engaging the kids. It, like, we can grow our own food. That's so awesome. And it was just a pepper plant, like, I don't think it has to be complicated to get them involved. Oh, now the comments are flying. Let's see. Tom says, I have a presentation I use for kindergartners and for 5th and 6th graders. It is quick, then get into letting them touch the soil. Yeah, kids want to get their hands in the dirt. I mean, I want to get my hands in the dirt, and I'm not a kid anymore, even though I sometimes act like it. Get into the stuff. Like, get your hands in there, hands on. It's such a great way to say, it's something you can learn from a book. It's one of those things, I can read about this for 6 years and study it, or I can do it. I can put my hands in the dirt and do the thing and watch what happens. I love it. Lots Project says, small Kratky system, quick, easy, and tons of learning. I will make sure to bring that up. That is not my immediate thought when I think of gardening, and I think that's because we just started Kratky here. So thank you for the reminder that is a very obvious one that they could try out. Ashley says, definitely gardening is a giant science experiment, especially when kids help. It's also a great lesson in watch, waiting, and trying again when something fails. Yeah, I think there's lots of different lessons that come out of gardening, not just, hey, I planted this tomato plant and now I have a tomato. There's lots of lessons to be learned in the garden. Absolutely. Martinson family says, on a town lot at the moment with 2 toddlers and an infant. There you go. Yes, lots of the families that are going to be in this chat with me are big families, or families that have really little kids, or moms who are working full-time but also homeschooling but also want to have a garden. So we'll see what we can come up with. I also think there is that thing where you have to realize stage of life and how much you can do. So if you've got 6 kids under the age of 6, you probably can't have a garden as big as I have, because I don't have 6 kids under the age of 6. Although the older kids can probably help, but you know what I'm saying? Like, understand where you are in life and understand you can't do everything, and pick your battles, I guess. I don't know. And then I suppose if we look back to Ma Ingalls, we'd say, well, she would have had a garden, because that's how they ate. But I don't know. It all depends how you want to approach it, I guess. All right, back to the comments. Tom says, playing with, okay, what is this? Core? COIR? I've never even heard that, Tom. What is that? You come in with a 5-gallon bucket, some water, 2 bricks of core, whatever this is. I've never heard of this. This is why I love community, because I'm assuming this is like a something you plant in. And then bean seeds and red Solo cups with holes in it. Kids love watching that core. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. They love watching it expand and let off heat. Wow, this is something I definitely need to learn about, because I don't even know what you're talking about, but I'm going to research it after I get done here, so I can let the people know. Gardening is fun. Gardening, there are so few things that are so hands-on and so, look, this is what happens. I love it. Brian from the Homestead Journey says, the best advice is to grow what you like to eat and start small. Definitely. I have fallen into the problem of, I'm just going to plant all the things because that's what we should do. We should plant all the things, and then I plant things that we don't eat. I think I talked about that last week. figure out what you want to eat. And maybe a good advice is to, with little kids, what is the thing that you like to eat? And then we're going to plant that. Like that plant is what we're going to plant. Maybe you have 6 kids. We're going to pick 6 plants. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to see what happens. Yes, it's been a long time since I had little kids, y'all. Long time. Arkansas Woodcutter says gardening ebbs and flows. General principles apply. Work within the... There must be something continuing. Ashley says, just watch the spades. When youngest was a toddler, she liked to lick the spade that I was using. Well, a little dirt never hurt anybody, right? Right. All right. Another comment. That's what I love about your podcast. Cheats are okay. Do what you can, learn from it, and keep an open mind. Yeah. Because that's how I live. That's how I do things. So that's what I'm going to tell people. And that's why some people like my podcast and some people don't. And that's okay. There's plenty of podcasts out there for people to listen to. So find the person that works for you. Brian from the Homestead Journey says, don't go from never gardening to a 4,000 square foot garden. Yep. Which is, it's good advice. It's kind of the same thing as don't go from not having a farm to having a farm and then filling up every single building with all the animals you ever wanted to have. Same thing's going to happen. Disaster. Yeah. Baby steps. Now I'm singing to you. It's sunny here today, and I think that's why I'm in such a happy, good mood. There's sun. It was kind of crappy weather for the last few days. So Nate says, try a variety of things. If it grows, run with it. If it doesn't grow for you, try another variant. That's a good point. If it doesn't grow for you, try another variant. When I got into gardening a long time ago, it was, I'm just going to plant all the seeds at the store. Like, I didn't even understand. There are things you need to start. There are things that just ain't going to grow here. I don't care if they're selling the seeds here, if they're selling the plants here, they're not going to grow, or they're only going to grow if you have a very specific setup. So yeah, not everything's going to grow for everybody. And your neighbor may be able to grow something amazingly, and it just isn't going to grow for you. And yeah, you can do all the perfect things, and it might not grow. Martinson family says you got to eat a little bit of dirt once in a while. Yeah, for sure. I think that's why my kids are so healthy, because they ate a lot of dirt when they were little. A lot of dirt, probably more than I realized they did. Brian also suggests, for people who are brand new, I also suggest they start with transplants for the finicky things. Yep. Start easy. Go easy. If you want to make it more difficult later, or like level up later, yeah, do it. But start easy in the beginning. When we started our Kratky system, I was like, I just want it to be easy. So we're just ordering all this stuff from Amazon. Yep, that's what we're doing. Like, we can change the fertilizer we're using later. We can change, this part of the setup, but I just want to get started. So let's do it as easy as we can so we can get started and figure out what works and go from there. So that's probably good advice for everything. Tom says coconut core. I have no idea if that's how you pronounce it. You get bricks of it. It's a byproduct of coconut shells ground up. Oh, well, there you go. I learned something today, y'all. I learned something. Rockinade Farm says stage of life or stage of farm business. I'm so busy with my pigs and chickens that the garden just stresses me out when it used to be my greatest joy on my farm. Yeah, that's a really good point, because you kind of, it sounds like here that you started with gardening, like that was your thing, and then you added the animals. For us, it was the opposite. Like, we started, when we got to the farm, we started with the animals, and that was our focus. And now I'm kind of like, okay, we got the animals, we know what we're doing, whatever. And now it's like gardening has now become, this cool thing that we're going to get back into, where we can focus on it. Gardening does take a lot of time, depending on what you're doing for weed control and all of that. It can take way more time than you think it's going to. From the planting to the weeding to the upkeep to the picking to the processing, it takes more time than maybe some people who aren't into gardening probably would realize, I guess. So maybe that's another thing to point out. Figure out, stage of life. stage of life, stage of farm, stage of business, stage of family, stage of, whatever's going on. You've only got so much time. So do what you can and don't worry about the rest of the stuff. Brittany says, my son likes to play pretend while we are in the garden. Sometimes he forgets to help because he's so busy being a Minecraft chicken, but it gets him out there with me. Absolutely. Some of the things is just being out in the garden. Sometimes, I mean, who doesn't like to be out in the garden? Be out in the garden, have fun, help when you can, run around, be crazy. Pretend you're a Minecraft chicken, whatever works for you. It's just being out there, and I think, running around and getting your feet in the dirt or your sandals in the dirt, whatever you're doing when you're in the garden, getting your hands in there. I think there's, even if nothing comes up in the garden, I still think there is so much benefit to just being out there together as a family. Yeah, it's good stuff. The garden is good. Ashley says 5-gallon buckets are amazing for small spaces and budgets. Yes, and cat litter buckets too. We had a bunch of cat litter buckets that we had gotten from someone, and they worked really well. We actually did tomatoes in those one year. So, and they worked great. They worked great. Comment. Hidden Hill Farm Girl says, I am the person that can't get the invasive things to actually be invasive, like mint, dill, etc. If it's supposed to just easily take over, I can't grow it. I also have the problem. There are things where people are like, be careful because it's going to spread. It doesn't for me. And I'm like, would you just spread? Would you do? I would like to see mint going everywhere. I would love to see, yeah. So it just goes to show you, like, it doesn't matter what people say. It might not happen at your homestead. Alyssa says, don't get caught in analysis paralysis. Just start. Throw stuff in dirt and cross your fingers. I actually figured out most of my current system based on what survived the first year. That is the best advice. And that is how we started gardening. I had a grandpa and a great grandpa who were like these amazing gardeners, and they just grew like, man, I wish I could find pictures of the gardens that they had, because what I remember from being younger, they were just these amazing, amazing gardens. And yeah, I often wonder, was it they just like, how had they figured out their system? Was it just, I tossed some seeds in the ground and, whatever? Which reminds me of my great uncle who, he lived through the Great Depression and passed away, I don't know, maybe 10 years ago, maybe 8 years ago. He was almost 100. And he I remember walking with him one day at his house, and he also had amazing gardens, and he had seeds in his pocket. He would walk around with seeds in his pocket, and it was like April, so like here, that's really early to be planting stuff in the ground, because sometimes we can still have snow. But I'm walking around with him, and he's tossing seeds out on the ground. He's like, "Oh, think I'm going to put another pumpkin seed in. No, think I'm going to put it." And I said, "Aren't you worried that's not going to grow?" And he said, "If it doesn't grow, I'll just put more seeds in the ground. But if it does grow, then it's growing." And so that was one of the things where I've always thought, like, "Huh, like, just try it. If it doesn't come up, try it again." So I learn a lot from my elders about just doing the thing. Just do it. Don't overthink it. Put it in the ground, see what happens, reassess the next year. So, yes. Amy, coconut, this is Donna, Chef Donna. Amy, coconut, I've heard it pronounced quar. Oh, quar. Okay. Is shredded up coconut shells and is a wonderful substitute for peat, since it's not very sustainable, since it takes a really long time to develop. So quar, coconut quar. I'll have to go looking for that. Yes. Rockinade Farm says 100% of the things you never plant will never grow. Yes. That's like, I should put that on my wall. 100% of the things you never plant will never grow. And that's probably a life lesson as well. That's not just about the garden, y'all. There you go. 100% of the things you never plant will never grow. Snail Creek Homestead says, Kratky Rapid Rooter, a good growing medium. Start all plants for 2 seasons. Money saver, and 0 to ready to plant 30 days or less. Kratky is amazing. I am so surprised every time I go down in the basement to check. I mean, I feel like that lettuce is just, like so fast. And even the tomatoes, it's crazy. It's crazy how fast it grows. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Rockinade Farm says, yeah, I'm deep. You so deep. You so deep. Oh boy. All right. I think I'm caught up on comments now. And now we only have like 5 minutes left. So go figure. So I am very excited to talk to these people, because it's always exciting when people want to get into something new that has to do with homesteading. So it's figuring out that balance of, supporting people who want to get into new stuff, but also like, okay, calm down, calm down. I know you're excited, but you can't plant 7 acres of potatoes when you've never put anything in the ground ever before. So it's kind of tempering that excitement, but also encouraging the excitement. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen, and I'm sure I will learn some stuff. I know there are a lot of people that want to talk about containers, raised gardens. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We will see what happens. What else? I don't know, y'all. Let's see. Oh, we got another comment here. Lots Project. Wait till you start, cut, and come again with your Kratky lettuce speeds up even more. Yeah, and my concern was that it was going to be too cold in our basement for this to work, but we're not having any problems with that. And so I think I have a video coming out next week where I talk about this, but my husband actually wants to make like a huge hydroponic system in the basement. And we decided we're going to see how this little system works. And if it works, then we're going to like change some stuff around in the basement and make a much bigger system. And so like, it's so fun to go down there every day and see how fast things grows. And, Brian, you're telling me it's going to be mind blowing. So I'm excited. I'm so glad we got this started. It's crazy that we waited 3 years to start it, but this is kind of the year to be like, okay, what do we want to do? Okay, do it. Like, don't overthink it. Like sometimes we say we're not going to overthink it, but yes, sometimes we do. Or sometimes there's just so much stuff we want to start that we have to be like, okay, what are the things we're actually going to start? And then this next stuff we will start next year. Like next year, I really want to do meat rabbits. That's on the plan for next year. And I also want to figure out some meat birds that I can raise that are more sustainable, that are more self-sufficient, so I don't have to buy a Cornish cross every year. I'm not sure what we're going to do about that, because Cornish cross are the meatiest birds. I don't need them to grow fast. Like, to me, that's not the big deal. Everybody's like, Cornish cross are so great because they grow so fast. To me, I don't care how fast they grow, but I do want a meaty bird. And so, I don't know. I'm trying to figure out a meaty bird that can actually make its own babies and produce babies that are actually what the parents were, which is not what happens with Cornish cross. So we shall see. Brian is reminding me, I have your trays. Yes. I would even deliver and show you the setup. Yes. We will have to figure out what is going on with that, because, man, I'm telling you, we could have the system. The system. Snail Creek Homestead says, we have a wood stove in basement close to grow rack, turbo plants, heat. Yes. I don't know why our basement is so cold. It just is. I mean, we could turn the heat up down there. The other thing that I'm worried about with putting a bigger system in down there is that's where my kids practice. That's like where a lot of their instruments are and where their kind of studio thing is set up. And so I don't want to, like, I don't want to make it super humid in the basement or something and then have it mess with their setup. So I don't know. There's a lot of things we could do. I mean, they won't live here forever, obviously, but whatever. I also like having music in the live music in the basement all the time. So yeah. All right. Well, we don't have time to start another topic. So maybe we will just start wrapping up here. So next week, what's coming up next week? I have some videos coming out next week. I hadn't put any videos out. I was doing this live stream thing and all of that. And I kind of forgot to make regular videos on YouTube. So I do have some videos that are already scheduled to come out next week. So I went full dork in one of them. Y'all, I don't even know. It was crazy. I watched it back and I'm like, I'm such a dork. I wish I could have embraced my dorkiness in school, because school would have been so much more exciting if I could have just embraced what a dork I was. What else is coming up next week? we have the 200th episode celebration for the Farmish Kind of Life podcast. I've been doing this podcast since 2018, I believe. And most of the time it has been a weekly podcast. So it took me a long time to get to 200 episodes, but we're having a little celebration. And I know a lot of you that are in the chat right now have sent in little messages, either recorded or an email for me to read about how the Farmish Kind of Life podcast or community or whatever, just a Farmish Kind of Life in general has kind of helped you, if it has inspired you to do anything. So man, y'all, I'm reading these emails and listening to these recordings like, oh my God, I don't know how I'm going to read them. I don't know how I'm going to read them on next Tuesday's podcast. I'm going to be like, oh my gosh, it's so crazy to hear about the things that you guys are doing with your lives. And you're like, and you helped me do it. And I'm like, that's insane. It's crazy. It's just because sometimes when you're talking into a microphone, you're like, is anybody listening? Y'all are listening and y'all are doing stuff. And I'm so dang proud of y'all. So I'm so excited for that episode. What else? Fireside Freedom is next Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Central. I believe they're talking about staying disciplined and staying positive in all the things that you want to do. Thursday, I have a really great interview with Thesia from Ellis Family Farms. And oh man, it's such a great interview. She's going to be talking about like living until you die and making the most of your dash and not using age as an excuse to not be a homesteader, to not be a prepper. She's had a lot of stuff that's been thrown at her in life. And she is just like, there's two ways to deal with it. You can either lay down and take it, or you can be like, no, this is what we're going to do. So she's super inspiring. And I told her that during the interview, and she said, I don't think I'm very inspiring. And I said, well, you know, a lot of people who are inspiring don't think they are. So it's such a great interview. I can't wait for you guys to hear it. She was so fun to talk to. And then next Friday, we're going to have another Friday morning chat. So it's going to be great. Alyssa is asking a question right now. She says, shoot, I totally spaced on sending mine in. Can I send today? Yes, I will take them until the end of the day today. And then I'm going to start putting the podcast together. So if y'all want to send anything in for this 200th episode celebration, you can email me at amy@afarmishkindoflife.com. That's AMY. Otherwise, find me on social media. And you can either send me a voice recording, WAV file, or MP3 works really well. Otherwise, you can just send me an email and I will read it. So anything you want to say, anything that you've done in your life, changes you've been inspired to make, favorite episodes, favorite videos, anything like that. We're just making this a celebration of a Farmish Kind of Life. So that's gonna be kind of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So anyway, I guess that's what I have to say today. This was super random and super silly. I got pigtails in today and it's April Fool's Day, so kind of a fun day. So I hope y'all have an awesome Friday, an awesome weekend. I hope you get all the things done, and I will talk to you again soon somewhere.